If you are parenting a high needs child, you are an Olympian of a mom. You are. Olympians don't train by scraping crumbs off the floor. They have coaches, they have protocols, they have recovery plans. They rest, not because they're lazy, but because of that's their level of performance requires. That's what it's like when you're a high needs mom. You're working on insurance authorizations and scheduling all of the therapies and trying to advocate for supports on an IEP or trying to get your child evaluated when you're being dismissed by a provider. As a mom who is handling all of these things, you don't just need self care, you need nervous system care. Hey, mama, are you feeling like you're walking on eggshells around your little one? Does every day feel like a battleground from breakfast to bedtime? You're not alone. If meltdowns, sensory sensitivities, and communication challenges are turning your days upside down, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sensory Savvy Mama, the podcast for moms raising neurodivergent little ones. I'm your host, Victoria, and I get it. I've been there. The endless research, the frustrating appointments, the feeling like no one understands what you and your child are going through. Here, we ditch the cookie-cutter advice and embrace the power of understanding your child's unique sensory needs within the context of your family. We'll dive into practical strategies, expert insights, and real-life stories to help you create a calmer, more connected family life. Because you deserve to feel empowered, not exhausted. Let's ditch the overwhelm and discover the joy of raising a sensory kid in a neurodiverse family. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Sensory Savvy Mama podcast. I'm Victoria, an occupational therapist, neurodivergent mom, and guide as we explore what it looks like to raise a sensory child or a sensory kid with more clarity, more connection, and a whole lot more nervous system regulation. Today's episode is one that I've lived through again and again, and chances are you have too. It's that moment when your child is bouncing off the walls after a long day, and all you want is stillness and somewhere soft to land. Maybe you sit in your car for an extra 5 minutes. You hide in the bathroom for longer than you need. You dread walking back into the noise. You numb out, scrolling on your phone. And maybe like me, you've wondered, how am I supposed to meet their needs when my sensory system is on fire and empty and I feel burnt out and I'm exhausted? Let's talk about that. Many of the moms that I work with are parenting kids who need more. They require higher levels of attunement, more movement, more noise, more input, or they're needing more help to create this buffer around them because they need less. They have more meltdowns than other kids. They need less input or activity. And so you as a mom have to create that buffer. You are doing so much more. And at the same time, you need less stimulation, less chaos, less clutter, less contact. This isn't selfish. This isn't weak. It's biology. It's nervous system wiring. It's real. And when that mismatch goes unacknowledged, it creates a silent war inside of us, a battle between what we think we should be able to handle and what our bodies are telling us they can't. And if we're not careful, it can lead to chronic health conditions. And this is not to scare you or participate in fear mongering. I'm sharing this because I've lived this. And I am now dealing with an autoimmune disease because I didn't listen to the whispers. I didn't listen to the voices. I didn't listen to the shouts. And then my body would literally shut down. And I don't want that for you. So let's talk about what this looks like. After becoming a mom, my sensory system changed. My needs changed. And there's a lot of change that comes with becoming a mom. And we don't talk about some of those things enough. We don't talk about how our needs as women change. Maybe your auditory system becomes a lot more sensitive. You hear all of the background noises, like the microwave, the fan in the other room, the aromatherapy diffuser that you have going off, toys clicking, dogs scratching. And it just all adds up and just feels like too much. And then heaven forbid somebody turn on the oven vent hood, because that one just sends you right off the cliff. Maybe you're touched out, where when people come up to you and they touch you, or your kids need something from you, even though you love your children and their touch itself, their need for communication is not bad. Their hands sometimes feel like fire, or like they are going to set off a volcano eruption. Maybe it's visual clutter that leaves you just scrambling and feeling overwhelmed and shutting down and flooded. Oh my God, how are we ever going to clean this up or get out of this? And you can't even figure out what you need to do. And it's almost like you just can't even commit to any one task. You don't even know where to start, because there's just clutter everywhere. And your brain cannot sort of organize or begin to create a checklist, or what do I do? I can't. I'm stuck. I'm totally in a fog with no sense of direction or orientation. Maybe you snap, not because you're mean, but because you're overloaded and overwhelmed and overworked. You crave predictability, and yet you would love a spontaneous stay away. You would love being able to just go do something fun. And it's not that you want routine so you can be controlling, but it's because it's the only thing that kind of helps your body to breathe. And this is real. And this is why we like it when our kids are in school. And honoring these needs isn't a luxury, it's foundational. So here's the thing. If you are parenting a high needs child, you are an Olympian of a mom. You are. Olympians don't train by scraping crumbs off the floor. They have coaches, they have protocols, they have recovery plans. They rest, not because they're lazy, but because of that's their level of performance requires. That's what it's like when you're a high needs mom. You're working on insurance authorizations and scheduling all of the therapies and trying to advocate for supports on an IEP, or trying to get your child evaluated when you're being dismissed by a provider. As a mom who is handling all of these things, you don't just need self-care, you need nervous system care. And this is not something that we talk about. This is not something that we are good at doing. It's not something that's easily available. This is something that you have to figure out and own and claim for yourself. And I think as moms, we have to realize we can't keep waiting for systems to see us and to see all that we do, to see the invisible mental loads that we carry, to recognize the unpaid labor that we are contributing to and the people who are benefiting from us. We have to see ourselves for the worth of all that we do, and we have to ask for help. We have to let go of some of the responsibilities and parts that were never ours to hold in the first place. And that's not something that it's easy to do in this culture. And this is something that I'm also learning how to do and working through myself. So this is not me telling you go do something that I'm not already trying to figure out how to do and putting one foot in front of the other and making progress in. But here's one thing that I did, and here's one thing that I would recommend. Start by noticing. Notice your sensory system. So when we talk about the 8 different sensory systems, what sensory systems feel most sensitive to you? What sensory systems feel more overwhelming, like you don't want anything to do with it? Maybe what sensory systems do you want more input from? For me, when I start to move into a state of dysregulation, my auditory system gets a lot more sensitive. And I need a lot of proprioceptive input, that movement, the body awareness piece. I get rougher when I'm dysregulated, and I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to hurt my child or the dog or anyone else. I just get out of touch with my body and I can't tell that I'm being that rough. And so those are two areas that are real quick indicators for me that's something that I'm more dysregulated. I need to slow down and I need to take care of this. So start by noticing your own system. What are two sensory inputs that are draining you right now? What are two areas that you're way more sensitive to or that you, again, can't tolerate as well? And what's something that you can do to soften that, buffer against it, or remove that this week? Maybe it's turning off background noise. Maybe it's asking for 5 minutes alone before dinner. Maybe it's wearing headphones while you're doing kitchen cleanup so you can zone out for a little bit. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it has to be something real, like not just thinking about it, but actually do the thing. And then I want you to think about what's something that is regulating for you. What helps calm your nervous system down? And I don't mean calm, cool, calm, and collected. Cool, calm as a cucumber, like couch potato calm. I mean, where you're feeling like more content and more at peace. You could be really active. Maybe it's when you're out playing with your kids and you feel the most alive. You feel joy. You feel what feels to be like in your body. What are two things that you can do this week at some point that regulate your system? What are those things? Okay, so you have two things to do. Now, here's your reminder for the week. One of the things that I had to do when I was trying to emerge from the chaos of burnout is realizing that my ability to regulate and support my family, who needed me and I wanted to be there to support them, was dependent upon my own regulation. And that was something that only I could control. Only I knew what it felt like to be in my body. Nobody else, people can look from the outside and have an idea of, hey, are you okay? But nobody knew what that looked like. And as a neurodivergent woman, I tend to be very high masking. And also, I can sometimes have a hard time being in touch, especially when I'm dysregulated. I have a hard time with interoception. I don't notice that I'm dysregulated until I'm really dysregulated. I've gotten a lot better at that, but I didn't know what I was feeling. And so when you don't know what you're feeling, it's really hard to regulate with somebody else and not pick up on what they're feeling.
Quick pause, because if you've ever felt like you know something's off, that is exactly why I created the Clarity Lab. It's a simple tool to help you put language around what you're seeing and sensing. So you're not just speaking from your gut, you're backing it up with insight that lands. It walks you through how to decode what's going on with your child's nervous system and even helps you track patterns. It's a simple process that you could go through in less than an hour or break up into 5-10 minute segments, give or take. If you need it, the Clarity Lab is here for you whenever you're ready. All right, back to our episode.
And so if you have a child that you're trying to support because of their meltdowns or regulation, if you don't know your own regulation and you aren't in control of that and actively pursuing regulation for yourself, your regulated state and their regulated state become the average. Your co-regulation is the average of the two. So if you're not really well regulated, you're dysregulated a little bit, and they're dysregulated a lot, you're the average of those two a lot of times. So the more that you can focus on your own regulation and self-care and stop feeling guilty about it, the better you can support your child. And one of the things that I've been going over and trying to figure out how to remind myself, some sort of mantra, but when I honor my own self-care needs, what regulates me, I can protect what connects us. I can better show up for my child and show up for my family. Your calm and your contentment and your inner peace isn't a reward that you earn. It's a resource that you deserve to preserve. You need it. Your family needs it. So start there. Notice what you need. Do you need more quiet? Do you need more movement? Maybe you need to go for a run by yourself. Maybe you need to go take a yoga class. Maybe movement is the thing that your body is craving. Maybe you need a crunchy snack, or maybe you are that person that loves that bubbly afternoon drink. What is it that you need? Because when you know what you need, then you can start to make shifts. And it doesn't take a complete overhaul, but sometimes it just starts with those little tiny shifts of knowing, oh, I'm getting way more sensitive to sound. I'm getting more rough in my touch. Okay, I need to do some things to regulate. These are two options that best regulate me. I'm choosing this one right now. Go do it. This is not easy to implement, but it can be simple. So I would encourage you for this week, notice what your needs are, notice what your sensory system is saying, and notice what are the things that really regulate you and help care for you. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for the work you're doing. It matters more than you know. And I'm so happy to be working on this journey with you. I'll see you next week. That's it for this week's episode of the Sensory Savvy Mama. I hope you're walking away with some actionable tips and a renewed sense of hope for your journey. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Your child is amazing, and you are the perfect mom for them. If you loved this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps other moms like you find our community and lets us know what you want to hear. If you want to connect further, you can find us on Instagram or subscribe to our newsletter for inspiration, exclusive sensory tips, behind-the-scenes glimpses, and so you don't miss out on any new episodes. We are all in this together, Mama. I love you, and I'm so proud of you.